Hi, everybody. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about shadow drawings slash paintings and what you might be able to do with your collection. So I'm just going to do a short video here just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about to make it a little bit more clear. So as you saw in the last video, I went outside and I had one sheet of paper. And by the way, this is of interest if you have not used the heavyweight BFK paper. This is what is I'm using right now. And on the back, I just had a little spill from another exercise that I was doing. And as you can see, the colors on there really vibrant. And this paper takes the paint in a different way. It's just different. And you can see the edges are a little cleaner. So if you are a little frustrated with the look of what you've been doing on the drawing paper, you might want to just invest in one sheet of this BFK paper to try it out and see what you think. Can really make a big difference. When you upgrade your materials, you can really be surprised. Something that you thought wasn't that exciting for you suddenly could just shift right around and become exciting because of the quality of the materials you're using. Really does make a difference. So here I have that collection of a couple of shadows on this smaller piece of paper. I'm going to show you just some of the things that you might think about as you're doing it. I'm just going to kind of talk you through what I think I might do with this very simple composition. There's not a lot on here. You can get as complicated or as as sparse as you would like with the shadows. But the first thing that I want to do is actually reiterate these lines a little bit so that you can see them a bit more here. I'm actually just using a paintbrush. This is not one of the kind that's filled with acrylics, but I just want to make this a little bit clear for you all to see. So I'm just going to kind of go back over here. And also, here's a line that just sort of doesn't seem to go anywhere. I'm just going to go right off the page with it because I think in this one, I'm going to take advantage of the shapes that are created by my lines here and just kind of work with that. I think everything else is pretty clear. Just go around this one a little bit more. And you may decide that you don't care about having the lines read very well. And you don't, there's no reason why you have to stick with these heavy black lines. They're just guides for you. You can decide to use them or not. You can decide to use the outlines to work within and leave the lines, the black lines, as part of your piece or not. So I think, what I'm going to show you here is what you might do as a response to these interesting lines. And I am not thinking about that they look like anything. I mean, I really am trying to not relate to something in the outside world. It's just the kind of the way that I like to do abstraction. Instead, I'm looking at interesting shapes and how the composition is working on this page. So, I see a lot of interesting shapes that could be painted in, and that's what I'm going to start with. So just take one of these colors that I have mixed up. You might want to do that too. All that paint that you mixed up before, this is where it comes handy. Especially if you don't have a particular color vision in mind and you're just wanting to get started, rather than spinning your wheels trying to think about what would be the right perfect color combination, start with something you already have. And then you can kind of go from there. It's always better to start with something than to be stuck in a paralysis of trying to think about what you might want to do, right? So I'm going to take this great yellow color, I like yellow a lot. And so it's all good. I'm going to paint it on here and just use these edges, the lines of my shadows to get me going. There's so many different things you can do with this. I mean, here, understand that I'm just going to give you a little bit of what would I do? What might I do? What could I do? And it's only just a couple of different things, and you might have completely other ideas about it, which is great. I encourage you to go with what you're thinking about. my decision about these lines is I'm going to leave them, kind of go over them and let them be a little bit showing and a little bit not. And I might change my mind later. So there's one yellow part, and maybe I'll decide to do some more yellow in here. And as you can see, I'm not rigid about the edges. You know, it's just, these are guidelines. These are, the shadows simply give you places to start. And again, they're shapes that you might not come up with left to your own devices. And it's not a criticism of anybody. All of us have just limitations where our imaginations, without any information input from the outside, will take us. You know, we sort of have a set group of things that we may always do, but that's where it's so great to, you know, do drawing exercises, to take photographs, to get outside, to look around, to feed yourself with information, visual information, and that will help to make your art making experience more exciting, more fulfilling, more rich, and to extend your ideas, you know, because so many times we're just like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Well, this is one great way that you can do that. So as you can see, all right, I'm deciding that that's going to be my yellow. I could always add more, but I'm going to just stop right now with that color. And maybe now I might try working with my sort of watered down color, you know, it's some transparency. I'm going to add just a little bit more of this open, rather the high flow. These are the only paints that you really want to shake up a little bit before you start using them, because in this case, the pigment is heavier than the medium. That is that stuff that the paint is mixed, pigment is mixed into. And so you want to shake it up so that your pigment gets, you know, well dispersed. So here I'm going to get in there with another brush and, you know, just see what this is like. Again, I'm just kind of using what I already have. Let me just see what happens, because it's kind of fun to play with the transparency versus the opacity thing we've been playing with around with in printmaking classes and other things like that. So, and it just gives you some more variety, and also you can see how beautifully the BFK takes the transparent paint. I mean, it just soaks it up in such a wonderful way. Very different from using your drawing paper. But, you know, drawing paper has its good sides too. I mean, it's accessible, it's not very expensive. You can, you know, go through a lot of it, and you can get yourself to feel more comfortable. You know, I mean, I know that the paper is a little bit more expensive, but as I said before, it can really be worth it, because it makes such a difference in the experience you have, the sensuality of the art materials. And that's, of course, what we're drawn to by doing art in IRL, in real life, right? It's the sensuality, the qualities of, you know, the velvet paper and the way the paint flows and the colors that we see. You know, it's an experience you want to have in real life. So as you can see, I'm just filling in these shapes as a place to start. You know, again, you can be as precise as you would like, but already we start to have an interesting composition. And I really made a point of going off to the edges so that we don't always get stuck in our concern with the sort of central part. It's a little boring, you know, frankly. And there's so much that's going on in the rest of the page that we want to just activate our eyes and our senses for all of the piece of paper, not just the middle part of it, right? So, okay, I'm almost done with this, painting this in pretty rapidly. And think about now where to go from here. So, you know, I'm going to stop here because I don't want to take it any further. I would love you to sort of think about what might you do next, and what kind of possibilities do you have for, or thoughts for your shadow drawings, shadow paintings. You know, it would be interesting to try to do this in black, white, and gray. You can certainly try and do that. You can continue with color. You could decide to add some printmaking effects to it. You could keep it real simple. You could collage onto this. You know, it really is a beginning, and that's what we're all about in this class. You know, where can we start? How can we begin? And how can we have this really satisfying art making experience that we don't get frustrated with, that we feel pleasurable, we feel that it opens doors to us, not closes doors, but opens the doors. All right, have fun with their shadow drawings.